January 17, 1945, the Ardennes Forest. Snow crunches beneath worn German boots as Obergefreiter Klaus Weber shuffles forward in the prisoner column. The Battle of the Bulge has ended. Hitler's last great gamble has failed. Weber's stomach gnaws at itself. He hasn't eaten a proper meal in 4 days. The American guards halt the column near a clearing. Weber expects another interrogation tent, another meager portion of hard biscuits. Instead, his eyes widen at an impossible sight. Steam rises from massive aluminum containers. The rich aroma of beef stew drifts across the frozen ground. American soldiers, hundreds of them, queue in orderly lines, metal trays in hand. Behind gleaming field kitchens, cooks in white aprons ladle portions that would feed Weber's entire squad. Coffee, real coffee. The smell alone makes his knees weak. Weber turns to his comrade, Feldwebel Ernst Hoffmann. "Mein Gott," he whispers. "They're feeding an entire division here, in the middle of nowhere." Hoffmann stares in disbelief. For months, his unit survived on watery potato soup from their goulash cannon, when they were lucky enough to have it operational. Most days brought cold rations, if anything at all. An American cook notices the German prisoners watching. He approaches with a steaming bowl. "Hungry?" he asks in broken German. Weber's world shifts. This isn't just about food. This is about power, industrial might, a war machine that can deliver hot meals to 100,000 men anywhere on Earth. The war, he realizes, was already over before the first shot was fired. The science of feeding armies had evolved dramatically since the trenches of the Great War. In 1918, American doughboys were considered the best-fed soldiers in the world, enjoying fresh bread from mobile bakeries, real coffee, and even Salvation Army donuts. Yet their field kitchens remained crude affairs, canvas. Tents sheltering wood-fired stoves, vulnerable to gas attacks and weather. By 1941, everything had changed. The United States Army Quartermaster Corps had spent 2 decades revolutionizing military logistics. At the Subsistence Research and Development Laboratory in Chicago, scientists worked alongside nutritionists to crack the code of battlefield feeding. They understood what Napoleon had learned the hard way. Armies marched on their stomachs, but modern armies moved too fast for traditional supply methods. The breakthrough came with mobile field kitchens mounted on sturdy chassis. These weren't the simple rolling stoves of previous wars. American field kitchens were marvels of engineering efficiency. Each unit could prepare hot meals for 250 men simultaneously. Multiple units working in coordination could feed entire divisions. Gas-fired burners replaced unreliable wood stoves. Insulated containers kept food hot for hours during transport. Refrigerated trucks maintained the cold chain from depot to front line. Behind this revolution stood an industrial complex unprecedented in human history. American factories that once produced automobiles now manufactured field kitchen components by the thousands. The Ford Motor Company alone converted entire production lines to military cooking equipment. General Electric supplied electrical systems. Aluminum companies provided lightweight, durable containers that could withstand artillery barrages. The logistics networks supporting these kitchens defied imagination. Quartermaster depots across the United States coordinated with 35 market centers handling perishable foods. Trainloads of beef, vegetables, and dairy products moved from farms to ports. Liberty ships crossed U-boat-infested waters carrying tons of canned goods, dehydrated meals, and coffee beans. From British ports, endless convoys of trucks distributed supplies to field kitchens scattered across multiple theaters of war. American cooks received professional training at specialized schools. They learned not just cooking techniques, but sanitation, nutrition, and logistics management. A trained Army cook could calculate portions for 1,000 men, coordinate supply deliveries, and maintain equipment under combat conditions. They understood that a well-fed soldier fought harder, marched farther, and maintained higher morale than hungry troops. The menu system itself represented careful scientific planning. A rations provided fresh, hot meals when field kitchens operated near supply lines. B rations used canned and preserved ingredients when fresh food wasn't available. C rations offered portable combat meals for troops cut off from field kitchens. Each system was designed to deliver optimal nutrition and morale support under specific battlefield conditions. Quality control extended from farm to foxhole. Government inspectors monitored meat processing plants. Nutritionists calculated caloric content and vitamin requirements. Taste testers ensured that even combat rations remained palatable after months of storage. The American soldier might complain about K rations, but he never went hungry when supply lines functioned properly. This systematic approach reflected broader American industrial philosophy. Where European armies often relied on local foraging or captured supplies, Americans built comprehensive logistics networks that could sustain massive forces indefinitely. They understood that modern warfare was as much about production capacity as battlefield tactics. Victory belonged to whoever could keep their armies fed, equipped, and fighting effectively. The German approach to field feeding revealed a fundamentally different military philosophy. Wehrmacht logistics emphasized speed and improvisation over systematic supply chains. German field kitchens, nicknamed Goulash or goulash cannons by soldiers, were simple affairs, wood-burning stoves mounted on two-wheeled trailers. Large units used kitchens designed for 125-225 men, while smaller formations made do with equipment serving 60 to 125 soldiers. These mobile kitchens reflected German expectations of quick, decisive campaigns. During the early Blitzkrieg victories in Poland and France, Wehrmacht units advanced so rapidly that supply lines stretched thin. German commanders accepted this risk, believing that swift victory would solve logistical problems. Soldiers often foraged from captured territories or relied on local resources. The system worked brilliantly until it didn't. German military rations emphasized shelf stability over variety. Standard Wehrmacht fare included hard biscuits, preserved meats, and ersatz coffee made from roasted grain. When field kitchens operated properly, cooks prepared simple stews combining whatever ingredients were available. Potato soup became a staple, supplemented by occasional meat when supplies permitted. German soldiers received decent nutrition during successful campaigns, but the system lacked resilience. The contrast with American capabilities became apparent as the war expanded. While German factories struggled to produce sufficient equipment for multiple fronts, American industry operated on an entirely different scale. Ford's River Rouge plant alone produced more military vehicles than several German manufacturers combined. American steel production dwarfed German capacity. The United States enjoyed abundant agricultural resources, while Germany faced increasing shortages. American field kitchen production reflected this industrial advantage. Standardized components allowed mass production and easy maintenance. Field Manual TM-10406 provided detailed instructions for operating cooking equipment under all conditions. Spare parts flowed through established supply chains. When American field kitchens broke down, replacements arrived quickly. German units often improvised repairs or went without hot meals for extended periods. The philosophical differences ran deeper than equipment. American military doctrine emphasized overwhelming logistical superiority. Planners calculated precise supply requirements for massive formations operating across vast distances. They prepared for extended campaigns requiring sustained support over months or years. German doctrine favored rapid, decisive action that minimized logistical burdens. This approach worked during successful offensives but collapsed when campaigns stalled. Training reflected these different approaches. American quartermasters studied industrial management techniques. They learned to coordinate complex supply networks spanning continents. German logistics officers focused on tactical improvisation and local resource utilization. Both systems produced competent professionals, but they were optimized for different types of warfare. Climate considerations further highlighted the contrasts. American field kitchens incorporated heating elements that functioned in Arctic conditions. Insulated containers maintained food temperature during long transport journeys. German equipment, designed for European climates, struggled in Russian winters and North African heat. Wehrmacht soldiers often ate frozen rations while their American counterparts enjoyed hot meals even in the worst conditions. The strategic implications became clear as the war progressed. German armies advanced impressively during the early years, but their logistics couldn't sustain prolonged campaigns. Supply shortages plagued German forces in Russia, North Africa, and eventually Western Europe. Meanwhile, American logistics grew more efficient and comprehensive. By 1944, American field kitchens were feeding millions of soldiers across multiple theaters simultaneously while maintaining consistent quality and nutrition standards. The technical mastery behind American field kitchens represented a revolution in military engineering. Each mobile kitchen unit contained sophisticated equipment that would have impressed civilian restaurants. Gas-fired burners provided precise temperature control impossible with wood fires. Aluminum cookware offered lightweight durability that could withstand artillery concussions. Insulated food containers maintained temperature for hours, allowing hot meals to reach forward positions. Steam tables kept multiple dishes warm simultaneously, while cooks prepared additional courses. The scale of these operations defied traditional military logistics. A single American division required approximately 15 tons of food daily. Field kitchens processed this volume efficiently through standardized procedures and specialized equipment. Mechanical potato peelers handled hundreds of pounds per hour. Industrial-sized mixers prepared vast quantities of dough for fresh bread. Refrigeration units maintained the cold chain essential for food safety. Water purification systems ensured safe drinking water and cooking ingredients. American innovation extended to food packaging and preservation. K-rations represented scientific precision in compact meal design. Each unit contained carefully calculated nutrition to sustain soldiers during combat operations. Canned goods utilized advanced preservation techniques that maintained quality for months. Dehydrated ingredients reduced shipping weight while preserving nutritional value. Even chocolate bars received engineering attention. D-rations were formulated to resist melting in tropical heat while providing emergency energy. The human element proved equally impressive. American military cooks received extensive training that transformed civilian kitchen workers into logistics professionals. They learned to calculate portions for thousands of soldiers, coordinate supply deliveries under combat conditions, and maintain sanitation standards that prevented disease outbreaks. Many possess civilian restaurant experience, bringing professional expertise to military operations. Morale implications of quality food service exceeded simple nutrition. Soldiers who enjoyed hot, tasty meals maintained higher fighting spirit than those subsisting on cold rations. American commanders understood this psychological dynamic. They prioritized food service even during intense combat operations, recognizing that well-fed troops performed better under stress. The sight of field kitchens operating near front lines reassured soldiers that their supply chain remained intact. German soldiers who encountered American field operations invariably expressed amazement at the quality and quantity of food available. Wehrmacht veterans recalled American prisoners enjoying steaks, fresh vegetables, and real coffee while German troops survived on watery soup and ersatz beverages. These encounters shattered German assumptions about American military capabilities and revealed the true extent of industrial disparity between the nations. The numbers told the story of American logistical superiority. During the Normandy campaign, American quartermasters fed over 130,000 troops within 48 hours of the initial landings. Field kitchens operated continuously, serving 3 hot meals daily even as combat raged nearby. Bakery units produced fresh bread for thousands of soldiers. Coffee consumption alone exceeded 10,000 pounds daily. Supply ships arrived regularly with fresh meat, dairy products, and vegetables, maintaining nutrition and standards comparable to garrison conditions. Quality control systems ensured consistent food safety across all theaters. Military inspectors monitored every step from procurement to service. Veterinarians examined meat supplies, nutritionists calculated vitamin content and caloric values, bacteriologists tested water sources and prepared foods. This systematic approach prevented the disease outbreaks that had historically decimated armies more effectively than enemy action. The industrial infrastructure supporting field kitchens demonstrated American manufacturing superiority. Factories converted from civilian production to military equipment with remarkable speed. Standardized components simplified maintenance and replacement. Mass production techniques reduced costs while improving quality. The result was field kitchen equipment that exceeded anything available to Axis forces. From the German perspective, encountering American field operations resembled discovering an alien civilization. Wehrmacht soldiers, accustomed to their simple goulash canon and irregular supply deliveries, could hardly comprehend the systematic efficiency of American food service. Captured German documents reveal consistent amazement at American logistical capabilities. One intelligence report described American field kitchens as industrial food factories that could feed entire armies while maintaining civilian restaurant quality. The strategic impact of superior field feeding extended far beyond mere nutrition. Well-fed American soldiers maintained higher combat effectiveness during prolonged engagements. They recovered faster from physical exertion, showed better resistance to disease, and demonstrated superior morale under adverse conditions. German commanders noted that American units could sustain offensive operations longer than Wehrmacht forces, partly due to consistent food supply that maintained fighting strength. Innovation drove continuous improvements in American field feeding systems. Engineers developed mobile bakeries that produced fresh bread within miles of front lines. Refrigerated vehicles maintained cold chains across hundreds of miles. Water purification units provided safe drinking water from any source. Each innovation addressed specific operational challenges while improving overall system efficiency. The contrast became most apparent during winter operations. German soldiers suffered terribly during the Russian winters, often eating frozen rations when field kitchens failed to function in extreme cold. American equipment incorporated heating elements and insulation that ensured hot meals even in Arctic conditions. This technological advantage provided measurable tactical benefits during cold weather campaigns. American field kitchens also demonstrated remarkable adaptability across different theaters. The same basic systems functioned effectively in Pacific jungles, North African deserts, and European winters. Standardized components allowed rapid deployment and maintenance regardless of location. German equipment, designed primarily for European conditions, struggled in unfamiliar climates and often required extensive modifications. The psychological warfare aspect of superior food service proved unexpectedly effective. German prisoners consistently mentioned American food quality as evidence of overall American superiority. Word spread through German ranks about enemy capabilities that exceeded their own by enormous margins. This knowledge undermined confidence in German victory and contributed to declining morale, particularly during the war's later stages. Medical benefits of American field feeding systems extended beyond basic nutrition. Scientific meal planning prevented vitamin deficiency diseases that plagued other armies. Sanitation protocols reduce foodborne illnesses. Adequate protein intake maintained muscle mass during extended campaigns. Clean water systems prevented dysentery and other diseases that historically weakened military forces more than combat casualties. The logistics network supporting American field kitchens revealed industrial capacity that German planners had consistently underestimated. Supply chains spanning multiple continents delivered food to field kitchens with remarkable regularity. This systematic approach contrasted sharply with German improvisation and highlighted fundamental differences in organizational philosophy. Even small details demonstrated American thoroughness. Field kitchen utensils were designed for efficient cleaning and sanitization. Food containers stacked efficiently for transport and storage. Serving procedures minimized waste while ensuring adequate portions. These seemingly minor innovations accumulated into significant operational advantages. The cultural impact extended beyond military operations. American soldiers carried memories of quality field feeding throughout their post-war lives. Veterans frequently recalled specific meals enjoyed under combat conditions, crediting field kitchen crews with maintaining morale during difficult periods. This positive association with military service contributed to post-war recruitment and public support for military institutions. June 6, 1944, Omaha Beach. The largest amphibious assault in human history brought unprecedented logistical challenges. Within hours of the initial landings, American quartermasters faced an impossible task: feed over 130,000 soldiers scattered across hostile beaches while combat raged around them. German artillery targeted supply dumps. Rough seas delayed cargo ships. Landing craft struggled through surf carrying men, ammunition, and field kitchen equipment simultaneously. Yet the American logistics machine functioned with clockwork precision. Mobile field kitchens rolled off landing craft within 6 hours of H-hour. Cooks began preparing hot meals while mortar rounds exploded nearby. By midnight on D-Day, steam rose from dozens of field kitchens operating along the bloody beaches. Soldiers who had expected cold K rations for days instead enjoyed hot stew, fresh coffee, and warm bread. The scale defied imagination. Each division required 15 tons of food daily. Supply officers calculated precise requirements for over 20 divisions eventually operating in Normandy. Ships arrived continuously carrying fresh meat, vegetables, dairy products, and specialized ingredients. Refrigerated vehicles maintained cold chains from ship to field kitchen despite summer heat and combat conditions. German defenders watched in disbelief as American supply operations expanded hourly. Wehrmacht intelligence reports described continuous streams of vehicles carrying food supplies inland while their own forces rationed dwindling stockpiles. German field kitchens designed for mobile operations couldn't match the systematic efficiency of American food service under these conditions. The breakthrough came during the third week of June. American forces established secure supply corridors allowing full-scale field kitchen operations. Bakery units began producing fresh bread for Interi, E-Corps. Field kitchens served 3 hot meals daily to over 200,000 soldiers. Coffee consumption exceeded 15,000 pounds daily. Fresh meat, vegetables, and dairy products arrived regularly despite ongoing combat operations. Quality remained consistently high despite massive volumes. Military inspectors monitored food safety from supply ships to serving lines. Nutritionists ensured balanced meals that maintained fighting strength. Sanitation protocols prevented disease outbreaks that could have crippled the invasion force. The result was an army that maintained full combat effectiveness while enjoying nutrition comparable to garrison conditions. German prisoners captured during this period consistently expressed amazement at American food service capabilities. Many had subsisted on cold rations for weeks while watching Americans enjoy elaborate hot meals. One Wehrmacht officer wrote in his diary that American field kitchens represented industrial might beyond German comprehension and predicted that such logistical superiority made German defeat inevitable. The psychological impact proved as important as nutritional benefits. Soldiers who enjoyed quality meals maintained higher morale during intense combat. They understood that their supply system functioned reliably even under the worst conditions. This confidence translated into tactical advantages as American units sustained offensive operations longer than German defenders expected. Field kitchen crews demonstrated remarkable courage under fire. They continued serving hot meals despite artillery bombardments and air attacks. Many received decorations for maintaining food service while under direct enemy fire. Their dedication ensured that combat soldiers never lacked hot meals regardless of tactical situations. The systematic nature of American operations impressed even Allied observers. British commanders, accustomed to their own efficient logistics, marveled at the scale and quality of American field feeding. French civilians, emerging from years of German occupation and food shortages, could hardly believe the abundance available to American soldiers. December 16, 1944, the Ardennes offensive begins. Hitler's last desperate gamble caught American forces by surprise, but it also provided the ultimate test of American field logistics under extreme adversity. German panzer spearheads severed supply lines, isolated entire divisions, and threatened to collapse the Allied front. Wehrmacht soldiers, many fighting on empty stomachs after months of reduced rations, expected to capture American supply dumps and finally enjoy adequate food. Instead, they discovered something that shattered their remaining confidence in German victory. Even as American units retreated or found themselves surrounded, field kitchens continued operating. Hot meals reached isolated positions through dangerous supply runs. Surrounded forces maintained full nutrition while German attackers survived on cold rations and dwindling emergency supplies. The 101st Airborne Division's defense of Bastogne became legendary, but few historians emphasized the logistical miracle that sustained the siege. American field kitchens operated continuously within the encircled perimeter, despite German artillery bombardments. Cooks prepared hot meals using supplies airdropped during brief weather breaks. Soldiers defending crucial positions enjoyed coffee, warm food, and adequate nutrition throughout the brutal winter siege. German forces advancing through deep snow and sub-zero temperatures expected their offensive to capture American supply installations and provide desperately needed food for Wehrmacht soldiers. Instead, they found field kitchens so efficiently managed that even under attack, American troops ate better than German soldiers in rear areas. Captured German diaries from this period reveal consistent amazement at American food service capabilities. The contrast became most apparent when German prisoners were processed through American facilities. Wehrmacht soldiers, many suffering from malnutrition after months of inadequate rations, encountered field kitchens serving elaborate meals to thousands of American soldiers daily. Hot beef stew, fresh bread, real coffee, and even desserts seemed impossible luxuries to men who had survived on watery soup and ersatz substitutes. Weather conditions that winter reached historic extremes. Temperatures dropped to -20 degrees Fahrenheit. Supply roads became impassable ice sheets. Visibility disappeared during frequent blizzards. Yet American field kitchens adapted with characteristic efficiency. Heating systems kept cooking equipment operational. Insulated containers maintained food temperature during transport. Hot meals reached forward positions regularly despite conditions that would have stopped less prepared logistics systems. The turning point came during the final German assault on Bastogne. Wehrmacht forces, expecting to find starving American defenders, instead encountered well-fed soldiers who had maintained full combat effectiveness throughout the siege. German attackers, weakened by weeks of inadequate nutrition, couldn't match the sustained fighting capacity of properly fed American troops. German intelligence reports from this period reveal growing awareness that American logistical superiority represented an insurmountable strategic advantage. One captured document described American field kitchens as evidence of industrial capacity that makes prolonged resistance futile. Wehrmacht commanders began questioning whether Germany could compete with an enemy capable of maintaining such systematic efficiency under the worst possible conditions. The psychological impact on German morale proved devastating. Soldiers who had believed in ultimate German victory despite recent setbacks now witnessed evidence of American capabilities that exceeded their worst fears. The sight of elaborate field kitchen operations functioning normally while German forces struggled with basic supply problems undermined confidence in military leadership and war objectives. American field kitchen personnel earned widespread recognition for their performance during the Battle of the Bulge. They continued serving hot meals under artillery fire, maintained sanitation standards despite primitive conditions, and ensured that combat soldiers never lacked adequate nutrition. Their professionalism under extreme stress exemplified the systematic excellence that characterized American military logistics throughout the war. The German realization dawned slowly, then all at once. As Wehrmacht prisoners were processed through American facilities during the final months of the war, they encountered a logistics system that operated on principles they could barely comprehend. American field kitchens served elaborate meals to thousands of soldiers, while German forces in the field subsisted on whatever scraps remained of their dwindling supply system. Obergefreiter Klaus Weber, captured during the Bulge offensive, later wrote detailed memoirs describing his encounters with American field operations. "We expected soldiers like ourselves," he recalled, "hungry men fighting for survival. Instead, we found an army that ate better than German civilians in peacetime. Their field kitchens produced food in quantities that seemed impossible. Hot coffee, real meat, fresh bread, luxuries we had not seen for months." The testimonies accumulated from thousands of German prisoners. Wehrmacht veterans consistently described American field feeding as evidence of industrial superiority that made German defeat inevitable. Feldwebel Ernst Hoffmann, Weber's comrade from the Ardennes, wrote extensively about his captivity experience. "Their cooks treated us better than our own officers," he observed. "Hot soup, decent bread, even cigarettes. We realized then that Germany was fighting an enemy with resources beyond our imagination." German officers proved equally impressed by American systematic efficiency. Major Heinrich Kruger, captured near Aachen, spent weeks observing American field kitchen operations while awaiting transfer to permanent prison camps. His detailed reports, smuggled back to German intelligence, described logistics capabilities that exceeded German estimates by enormous margins. "They feed armies like we fed companies," he wrote. "Their organization extends from American farms to frontline positions without apparent strain." The contrast with German field feeding became starkly apparent as Wehrmacht supplies collapsed during 1945. German soldiers in the field often went days without hot meals as their goulash Kanone units lacked fuel, ingredients, or operational equipment. Meanwhile, American field kitchens continued serving 3 hot meals daily to millions of soldiers across multiple theaters. The disparity highlighted fundamental differences between German improvisation and American systematic planning. Psychological impacts extended beyond individual testimonies. Word spread through German prisoner networks about American capabilities that exceeded their previous understanding. Stories circulated about field kitchens that served steaks, fresh vegetables, and desserts to ordinary soldiers, while German generals survived on emergency rations. These accounts undermined remaining faith in German propaganda about American military weaknesses. Medical examinations of German prisoners revealed the cumulative effects of inadequate nutrition during the war's final year. Many showed signs of protein deficiency, vitamin shortages, and general malnutrition despite recent combat service. American military doctors noted the contrast with their own well-fed soldiers who maintained full health and fighting capacity throughout extended campaigns. The intelligence value of captured guerrillas. Man observations proved significant. American planners learned that their field-feeding superiority had contributed to German demoralization more effectively than they had realized. Subsequent psychological warfare operations emphasized American abundance to encourage additional German surrenders. Radio broadcasts described elaborate meals available to prisoners while German forces faced starvation. German civilian reactions provided additional perspective on American logistics capabilities. Populations in occupied territories had endured years of food shortages while supporting German military operations. When American forces arrived with their field kitchens, local civilians couldn't believe the quantities of food available to ordinary soldiers. Many commented that American troops ate better than German officers they had observed during the occupation. The systematic nature of American operations impressed German technical experts who had opportunities to observe field kitchen equipment and procedures. Engineers noted standardized components that simplified maintenance and replacement. Logistics specialists recognized supply chain coordination that operated across multiple continents with remarkable reliability. These observations contributed to post-war German appreciation for American industrial and organizational methods. The broader implications of American field feeding superiority became clear as the war concluded. Military historians began recognizing that logistics rather than tactics had determined victory in this global conflict. German forces had demonstrated tactical excellence and innovative equipment throughout the war, but they could not compete with an enemy that maintained systematic supply chain advantages across all theaters simultaneously. Statistical analysis revealed the magnitude of American logistics achievements. During peak operations in 1944 to 1945, American field kitchens served over 8 million hot meals daily to forces scattered across Europe, the Pacific, North Africa, and other theaters. This required coordinating supply chains that spanned continents, maintained cold storage across thousands of miles, and delivered fresh ingredients to remote locations under combat conditions. The industrial foundation supporting these operations transformed American manufacturing capabilities permanently. Companies that produced field kitchen equipment during the war maintained expertise in mass production techniques, quality control systems, and logistics coordination. These skills contributed to post-war economic growth and industrial leadership that sustained American global influence for decades. International observers drew significant conclusions about American strategic capabilities. British allies, despite their own efficient logistics traditions, recognized that American field feeding represented systematic excellence that exceeded anything previously achieved in military history. Soviet commanders, initially skeptical of American military capabilities, acknowledged that logistics superiority provided decisive strategic advantages that tactical innovation could not overcome. The human cost of German logistics failures became apparent as prison camps emptied and Wehrmacht veterans returned home. Medical examinations revealed widespread malnutrition among German soldiers during the war's final year. Many required extended medical treatment to recover from vitamin deficiencies and protein shortages that had weakened their immune systems and overall health. German post-war military analysis emphasized logistics lessons learned from observing American operations. Wehrmacht staff officers who survived the war wrote extensively about American field feeding superiority and its strategic implications. These studies influenced German military doctrine development during NATO integration and emphasized systematic supply chain management over tactical improvisation. The contrast with Japanese forces in the Pacific provided additional evidence of American logistics superiority. Japanese soldiers, notorious for enduring extreme deprivation, consistently expressed amazement at American field kitchen operations when they encountered them. Many Japanese prisoners commented that American ordinary soldiers ate better than Japanese officers, highlighting the systematic nature of American abundance. Economic implications extended beyond military operations. American agricultural production, stimulated by military demand, achieved productivity levels that supported both domestic consumption and massive export requirements. Farming techniques developed to meet military specifications contributed to post-war agricultural advances that sustained global food security initiatives. The psychological warfare value of superior field feeding continued influencing American military doctrine. Commanders recognized that well-fed troops maintained higher morale, better health, and superior combat effectiveness compared to inadequately fed enemies. This understanding shaped post-war military planning and emphasized logistics infrastructure as a strategic priority rather than merely tactical support. Cultural impacts resonated through American society as veterans returned home with memories of quality military food service. Many retained lifelong appreciation for systematic organization and efficient operations they had observed in military logistics. These attitudes contributed to post-war economic growth, industrial development, and social progress that characterized American society during the following decades. The technological innovations developed for field kitchen operations found civilian applications that improved American food service industries. Equipment manufacturers adapted military designs for restaurant chains, institutional kitchens, and food processing facilities. Sanitation protocols developed for military use influenced public health standards and food safety regulations. The story of American field kitchens transcended mere military logistics to reveal fundamental truths about industrial warfare in the modern age. When German soldiers expressed amazement at American capabilities to feed 100,000 men from mobile field operations, they were witnessing more than efficient food service. They were observing the manifestation of industrial democracy, a system that could mobilize entire civilian economies to support military objectives while maintaining humanitarian standards even under combat conditions. The implications extended far beyond World War II. American field feeding demonstrated that systematic excellence in seemingly mundane areas could provide decisive strategic advantages over enemies who focused exclusively on tactical innovation or battlefield heroics. This lesson influenced military doctrine, industrial planning, and international relations throughout the Cold War era and beyond. The human element remained equally significant. American cooks, quartermasters, and logistics personnel who maintained field kitchen operations under the worst possible conditions embodied values that differentiated democratic societies from totalitarian opponents. They understood that caring for soldiers' basic needs represented moral obligations that transcended military necessity. Their dedication to maintaining quality food service, regardless of danger or difficulty, reflected systematic commitment to human dignity that ultimately proved more powerful than ideological fanaticism. Modern military forces continue applying lessons learned from World War II field feeding operations. Advanced logistics networks, systematic supply chain management, and emphasis on soldier welfare can be traced directly to innovations developed during that global conflict. The principle that well-fed armies fight more effectively remains fundamental to contemporary military planning across all professional military organizations. The broader historical significance lies in demonstrating how democratic societies can mobilize superior resources through voluntary cooperation rather than coercive control. American field kitchens succeeded because they represented systematic excellence supported by free enterprise, scientific innovation, and genuine concern for individual welfare. These advantages proved more durable and effective than authoritarian alternatives that emphasized sacrifice, propaganda, and ideological commitment over practical results,